All right, thank you for staying with us. Now, about 2 days ago, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, and the Police Service Commission, appeared to be in some kind of disagreement over police recruitment. Police Service Commission had opened its portal for the recruitment of police constables for the year 2020 and placed an advert on the recruitment in a national daily. And then we also had response from the Nigerian Police Force saying that Nigerians, urging Nigerians to disregard the advertisement, saying that they were not ready for any recruitment. So this got a lot of reactions, a lot of people asking questions, what exactly is going on. This is not the first that we have had this experience. It has happened a couple of times. For several years, we've been having this. So we have in the studio, to make clear for us, a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Wilson Inalegu. He has been Commissioner of Police in several states in the country, FCT inclusive. And so we will be talking about this. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Yeah. Well, one thing that a lot of people have said is the law is very clear on whose mandate it is to recruit police officers, which is the Police Service Commission. Clearly, third schedule, part 1 of the part 1 and section 30 actually of the Constitution made it very clear. So why are we having this controversy?
Well, like you are aware, the Nigeria Police Force went to a high court. They got judgment that they have responsibility for recruitment. The Police Service Commission appealed to the Court of Appeal. They also got judgment. Now, I also think they've gone also to, the case has gone up to the Supreme Court. Therefore, I really don't want to comment on that aspect. But the issue I want to bring to bear is there is no reason for any disagreement among the two bodies, because the Police Service Commission, the Nigeria Police Force, all geared towards the same objective, to enable the NPF, fulfill its mandate. But I am concerned about the Nigerian public, because the constable, this recruitment, 10,000, will go a long way, because the core problem of the NPF is inadequate manpower, a human resource. And so any effort to boost that number through recruitment must be supported by all. But I think the area of disagreement basically is the police is a consumer of this product. And they are saying, look, we want a process that will guarantee that the people we are bringing in have the mental, the psychological mindset to be able to serve in the force.
Right.
And so the NPF and the Police Service Commission, I thought, and I believe, had an understanding.
But why are they in court then?
Yeah.
And why are we seeing response from the Nigerian police after the Police Service Commission have placed an advert? I mean, that should have been sorted before we get to see it in the press.
Yeah, but things like this, happen. What I think is left for the two to do now is come together and agree on the process for the recruitment. All we want is that we want this 10,000 to be among the best.
Mr. Inalegu, yes. After the police got the judgment at the High Court,
yes,
then the PSC got its own at the Appeal Court.
Yes.
The police went to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
However, yes, we gathered that there was at a retreat, the matter was settled in-house. Exactly. That was what we gathered. Yes. And that was why they now brought representatives from the NPF and the PSC, yes, to come together. And that was why they were able to go ahead with the initial 10,000 yes, constables. Yes. Now, if that agreement, what happened to that agreement? Because if that agreement was sustained, this shouldn't be happening now. So what happened?
Yeah, you see, the comment you expect me to make as somebody not in the police management team now, or the Police Service Commission, the comment you expect me to make is the propriety of having these 10,000 on the streets, patrolling and fulfilling the mandate of the MPF. Now, I think the Minister of Police Affairs, I don't know, has a responsibility here. He should be like an impartial arbiter. He should be able to get the two together and say, look, I am the Minister of Police Affairs. I have my constitutional responsibility. Police Service Commission, you have yours. IG and management team, you have yours. Nigerians cannot wait for you to resolve your differences to have officers on the streets. So the way I want to go about responding is, I don't want to say this is correct, that is wrong. But the approach I want to take is for a quick resolution. And how do you go about that resolution? I think the Minister of Police Affairs has, if you read, he has a responsibility because the position gives him a superintending role on the MPF, and I think the Police Service Commission, he may not give direction, but he can call them together and say, look, I want this process to get started, and I don't want this bickering. I really don't understand why there should be a difference. But
okay,
if there is a difference, we've got to adopt a method of...
It's obvious there's a difference.
Yeah, there's.
So I think we've moved past. I think we've moved past the point of whether there's a difference.
And I've told you how it can be resolved. How can we resolve it? The Minister of Police Affairs.
So how do we make sure that there's no breach? Because the law is very clear, and I'm sure that the framers of the Constitution, there was a reason for giving the PSC, the Police Service Commission, the mandate to do that recruitment. So I want to ask, what's the capacity? Does the PSC has the capacity to do this recruitment? And how important it is for them to take on that role?
The Police Service Commission has not been involved in the recruitment of police constables. But
it has not been involved.
Yeah, or previously. Of course, you recall, and I think with the advent of democracy or civilian administration, they got more strengthened. But then, the MPF has been conducting. So in terms of capacity, the MPF has the capacity because the portal that the MPF set up has a lot of features that you can't get the wrong people into the system. And I understand that the Police Service Commission has also set up their own. I don't know whether that portal is working. But MPF has done it in such a way that if you are over age and you go on the MPF portal, automatically you'll be disqualified. It's connected to the NIMSI, and WAEC.
So where has the Police Service Commission been all along that there have been recruitments in the Nigerian police? If you say that they have not been doing that, that means someone is not discharging his constitutional role here, exactly. Right?
Yeah, so I think that responsibility has always been executed. The IG has always had that.
Is that not an overlap?
Mr. Inaligo, it's one thing for somebody to execute a responsibility. It's another thing for who is charged with that responsibility. I remember when the police went to the High Court, one of the reasons they gave, and what gave them the judgment was the fact that they said they are the force, and since they are taking the policemen into the force, they should be allowed to do it, and that civilians should not recruit for them. That was what they said at the High Court. But the point is this, the law tells, gives that role to the PSC. So I think, why is that?
Let's approach it this way. As for example, the IG, the the caliber of people you think can serve. They've got that grit, that psychological capacity, mental strength to be able to do it. So when you see a guy and you are recruiting, you know that this guy has got the capacity. And I think that's why the IG said, look, I am the one. These are human beings you are giving me. Allow me to do it because I know I wear the shoe. I know where it pinches. But the law, I am not a lawyer, unfortunately. But for the High Court to give judgment for the police, then there are certain things to still be resolved. So I want to sit here and say the law totally, completely. You know, the Constitution, yes, we agree it is grand norm. But from the Constitution, there are legislation that comes out of it, like the Police Act. So essentially what I would say is that the longer you delay this recruitment, the more problem you cause. Because assuming we are in the police station in this studio, our establishment reads 10, and we're only 3. You know, certainly we cannot work to optimal level. So I want the interests of the various communities of the Nigerian public to be taken into consideration as this interplay. It is you, it is not this. It should be resolved. But I think the NPF, from the recruitment they have been doing, they've tried to get the most capable, without any intervention, without any list being brought, say, oh, take this, because they follow it automatically. Once you go to the NPF portal that is connected to NIMSI, if the information you give to a NIMSI to get to NIN conflicts with the one you've completed on the form.
So what you are saying, are you saying that the PSC is not equipped enough or is not capable enough to do the kind of recruitment that will fit or that will suit the purpose of the Nigerian police force? Are you saying that they cannot be trusted to do what needs to be done, to do justice in terms of sieving those that deserve to be, you know, in the Nigerian police force?
Let's take it this way. I cannot just get up. There is a process. So don't forget, it is, let me answer it this way. The MPF has the capacity as at the moment. The Police Service Commission, in doing anything, must do it in close collaboration with the MPF. I don't want one of them to say it is solely.
Yeah, but what it seems right now is that the Nigerian police force appears to be the one solely taking responsibility for the issue of recruitment right now, from what we see. And from what is playing out, it looks like there's some kind of political undertone to the whole recruitment process in the police force. What's your take?
Yeah, you know, as for politics, I am not aware of that. But you know, the Police Service Commission has an oversight function. So even if the MPF is recruiting, at any stage they can, because in the final analysis, they will give you the appointment letters. The MPF doesn't give appointment letter. It is the Police Service Commission. So in exercising that oversight responsibility, if they think the MPF is not doing the right thing, they also have the capacity to say, look, we have looked at these guys you have recruited. We think this is not qualified, and we are not giving any letter. So if all of them have their own responsibility, MPF produce the product the best they can, and the Police Service Commission, in the final analysis, must give letter. So the Police Service Commission can never be left out, and the MPF can never be left out, because the MPF will train. Police Service Commission doesn't have training schools. It is the MPF. So it is a situation that we have that I don't know the politics in it. The IG is not a politician, and certainly the Police Service Commission members are also are political, non-partisan. And in terms of capacity, the Police Service Commission's chairman is a retired Inspector General Police. Even a retired Justice of the Supreme Court is also a member, and members of the civil society organizations, including women group. They're all ably represented. So they have their responsibility, that oversight function. And I think, in my imagination, really, is IG say, look, I'm going to produce them. In the course of doing this, even in the course of procurement, you have your oversight. You say, look, that guy you recruited is not qualified. I'm not giving him later. So they all have role. But the overriding role that, and I have said that about 2-3 times in this studio, is that the critical mass in policing is this level of recruitment. It is the most important. I think even more important than the upper cadre recruitment, because you have 10,000.
All right.
And
so
interacting, interfacing with the public
Yes.
on a daily basis.
Yes.
Therefore, and now the police is grossly
under police.
All right. So let me
10,000.
So let me say let me ask that you talk to us about the correlation between the recruitment process
Yes.
and the performance of the Nigerian police force, because that's very critical. We've had several stories about people not, passionate about service, but they are in the force for some reason. So how important is the recruitment process to eventually having a very viable service?
Garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have the right material, if you don't have the right mindset, policing requires a lot of certain skills. First of all, you've got to have that passion. You've got to have that mental capacity, that physical capacity. And that is why they say if you're a female 5.4, male 5.6, chest expanded 34, and all that. If you don't have that, and you look people, you don't know their background, they're crooks. You get them, they'll corrupt the system. So the recruitment process is the most important. If you don't have the right caliber, the recruitment and the training, which is part of the formation, and that is why there are certain things. So the recruitment process is the most important. That is getting the right people. You've got to get their background. You've got to ask even from their communities, who are these guys? Who is this guy that you're bringing to us? The DPU or the SO of that village. That is why in the attestation, it is required that an officer not below the rank of CSP or a lieutenant colonel or a DPU must attest to the fact that this guy is from this community. We know him. He's not a cultist.
Okay. All right. So what you are saying now, this is the ideal thing, right?
Yes.
To what extent does the force go to, how far does the force go in digging some of these things about, the character, the person, the personality of the people that we're talking about? We're talking about thousands of people here, 10,000.
Yeah.
Now,
when you are recruited and you get to the police college, a new screening process starts. They are going to take your fingerprints and they'll run it. After running your biometrics, they will send them to the fingerprint unit. They check, do you have a criminal record? And then when they are tested...
Do we have such data in Nigeria?
Oh, of course. You can't travel. If you are going for something overseas, you are going to have police character certificates. They are stored. Once you get to the police station, if you go to a divisional crime branch, there is a bar there. They take your fingerprint and save it. If you are taken to court and you are discharged and acquitted, it will be destroyed. But if you proceed further, you get a conviction and you go to the prisons, the record is stored and it goes to the Central Criminal Registry in Alagbon. And I think a part of it in force headquarters. And then from your community, because you have attestation, and the officer not below the rank of CSP or a lieutenant colonel or a magistrate or whoever attests to the fact that what you have completed in your form is what you claim to be is what you are. And if that does not happen, we have had a lot of instances in I think in 2018, I was involved in recruitment in Kaduna. We did it jointly, then with both the commission and the MPF. And then we were checking from village to community to local government. And all those who were not involved, some would come with fake results and go to WAEC so the process, I think, and I believe, is and along the line, after 2 years, then there is another process. You have served in the MPF for 2 years. Then your DPO or your superintending officer say, look, there's an engagement. You have to be re-engaged. If you are found not to have the right character to be an officer, you don't need to go through any disciplinary process. Automatically, you are disengaged.
Mr. Analiku, yes. Now that you mentioned that,
yes.
Let me ask you this question. Not long ago, we have seen about within the last 3 weeks, we have seen the IGP dismiss people for behaving untowardly in public. Somebody was dismissed because a video went viral where he was caught extorting somebody and all of that. And then that brings me to the feud between PSC and the police. The PSC is supposed to recruit, promote, and discipline. Now, when those things happen with those junior policemen, the IGP fired them. We didn't hear anything from the PSC saying, oh, you're taking on our role. So why is it only on recruitment that the PSC is worried?
There you go. The police, I told you that the police, the MPF, has been involved in recruitment. This Police Service Commission coming into constable recruitment is a recent development. And that power they gave to they ceded that power to the IG to discipline from constable to inspector. But from ASP, the IG doesn't have the power.
How far back?
The IG must query the ASP, and if he thinks after the first disciplinary committee sits, and they believe that the officer has committed an infraction that will ask either demotion or severe reprimand or dismissal, they must go to the Police Service Commission. So the Police Service Commission ceded that power. But
when did the Police Service Commission cede that power? I recall that the former IG of police, Michael Kiro, gave an account where he said sometimes around 2013, he requested for police officers, even as the boss of the Police Service Commission at the time. And because of certain logistical issues, decided that they needed the Nigerian police force to complement whatever they needed to do at the time. So is that what you consider as the PSC conceding power to the police?
It's been like that. It's been like that from
creation.
Let me tell you one thing. The Police Service Commission, yes, has got enormous powers. But I can tell you for a fact that they've not been involved until recently in recruitment. And then the disciplinary issues of constable to inspector has always been dealt by the IG at other levels. Then,
is there a document to say that this is the police should do this, or it was just taken for granted and the police was doing it?
No, I really don't want to lose track, because I wanted to ask the last question you asked. Can you come up with it again?
Yeah, talking about when did the PSC, ceded the power for recruitment to the Nigerian police force. Yes, we've had the Nigerian police force before the PSC, agreed. Yes. So we need to be clear as to at what point, because when the PSC was created, the need for them to do that recruitment, came up. So at what point did the PSC see that their power, for recruitment to the Nigerian police force?
I think the question should have been, at what stage did the Police Service Commissioner say, look, we want to assume our powers? Because I wouldn't know that, but I know that the Police Service Commission, until recently, has never shown any interest or indication to say, look, we are not.
Yeah, so but the fact that it never showed doesn't mean.
As to whether I know the time or I know the document, I can't sit in the studio here and know. Well, number one, I'm no longer in service. I really cannot remember the time. But the only point I can say is that the Police Service Commission has never been involved in disciplining officers from constable to inspector or recruitment from constable has never been involved. It is a recent development, and that is why, were you hearing of conflict? No, it's not recently.
So is this so hard for the Nigeria police to now concede that, okay, yes, we understand that the PSC has the powers to do this, so you can actually take over your responsibility? Is there a problem with that?
I wish I were the IG. I can answer that question well. But the whole is that I'll take you back. When two parties seem to be having some disagreement, there should be a third party that should say, look, guys, let's sit down. It's resolvable.
So, yes,
but
talking about
me. It's not for me to stay here in the studio and begin to assume.
Talking about third party. Talking about third party.
Yes.
We have the Nigeria Police.
Yes.
We have the Police Service Commission. We have the Ministry of Police Affairs.
Yes. You have the Attorney General, who interprets all laws.
Exactly. So who presides over this? Who should prevail over these kinds of conflict?
I think the first line, if you ask me, is the Minister of Police Affairs. It should have the capacity to say, look, I want officers on the street patrolling. And if there are disagreements, and how he goes about that.
So what are the previous interventions by the Ministry of Police Affairs? Because as we noted earlier, this is not the first time that we are hearing about this kind of friction.
Yes.
What were the previous interventions as regard this?
If you must be in the top management team. Either you are Chairman Police Service Commission or the IG and his management team, and others who may have intervened. But I know there have been a lot of discussions, and that is why they make small progress, the thing breaks down.
Yeah, but like last time when this happened and the police went to the Supreme Court, they had an internal agreement where members of the PSC and the police came together and they were able to do the first 10. But it has broken down apparently. That's why we're having it again. Is it possible for the police to move for maybe some kind of amendment to the Police Service Commission Act so that if they want to go ahead with the recruitment of constables, maybe it will be made clear that, okay, the PSC, you recruit higher cadre or promote higher cadre, and then the police is in charge of recruitment of constables. So it's made very clear, and then we don't have this anymore. Is that something the police can do?
There's nothing that is impossible. There could be an executive bill to clarify that aspect of the powers that you were talking about. Because you have almost said everything. I need to say much there. So if this law is giving headache, if it is not properly, if it needs clarification, that is why I say, look, there are so many people who can intervene. The minister, the Attorney General of the Federation, the National Assembly, and of course, the presidency. So it is not in my state, in the studio, to begin to say, look, you go and do that, you go and do that. If you observe, the position I have taken so far is to try as much as possible to steer on a thin line. That's what I have tried to do. But there is one thing I must say.
All right.
And I want to take note of that. The rank and file is the core of policing.
Okay, so briefly before we go, yes. It will seem needless to have a Ministry of Police Affairs if we have this kind of friction happening. So what exactly is the Ministry of Police Affairs supposed to be doing?
The Minister of Police Affairs, it's long I've read the Constitution, but I know that the Constitution did say that the Minister of Police, any person appointed, either by the Minister of Internal Security or Minister of Police Affairs, or anybody so appointed by the President, can give lawful directive to the Inspector General of Police also. So the Minister of Police Affairs has enormous powers. The police is not a member. The IG is not a member of the Federal Executive Council. Therefore, if the police has a capital project to execute, who presents it? Is the Minister of Police Affairs. So such a person wields enormous powers. But it is not in my state to say, look, this is what to do. But the Minister of Police Affairs work is spelled out in the Constitution. But, but what the critical aspect here is that the recruitment must go ahead. It doesn't really matter. The Police Service Commission can superintend the recruitment in exercising the oversight function. I say, look, this person you have recruited does not match the criteria. We are not giving. So, head or tail, IG has its own powers. The Police Service Commission has its powers. Because that letter, if you don't have it, you will not be in the IPPIS.
All right. So thank you so much. At this point, we would put an end to the discussion. We thank you for joining us on Daybreak and bringing your perspectives to us. We appreciate you.
Pleasure is mine. Thank
you. All right. Our guest has been retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Wilson Inalegu. Thank you.
You tried.
All right. So with that, we've come to the end of the program. In case you have missed, you can watch via all our social media platforms. You can watch us live on YouTube as well and watch other programs. My name is Ayuba Ilya.
Thank you for spending this part of your morning with us. Do well to join us same time, same station tomorrow. My name is Stella Yajan. For now, do have a pleasant day.